Hello and welcome back to the Survival Horror Guide, a series where we play and then review survival horror games. We rate them on their fear factor, and we give them an overall score. Finally, we send it over to the series' totally arbitrary rating system to see how it stacks up against the rest of the survival horror competition. Today for the show, it is a return to my favorite series of all time, Resident Evil. Outbreak, man! Outbreak, it breaks my heart, because I know that I missed my opportunity to play this game back in its heyday. I know there are workarounds that exist to play this game online nowadays, but we don't got time for that. So I'm kind of left to play the game in a less than optimal state and have to deal with AI companions. But hey, this is still one of the best, most beloved Resident Evil spin-offs that exists. Whoa! Get out of here, you little bastard. So let's see how it holds up today as a single-player experience. Resident Evil Outbreak came out on the PS2 back in 2003 and received a sequel, Outbreak File Number 2, less than a year later. Classic Capcom. The game takes place around the events of Resident Evil 2 and 3 during the iconic Raccoon City incident, which is freaking awesome. The streets of Raccoon City are honestly what comes to mind for me when I think about the series, so this is vintage Resident Evil. But of course, instead of playing as one of the classic Resident Evil heroes, we get to pick from a cast of characters who are much more ill-equipped to handle the outbreak. Some so more than others. These are just regular people. You got a doctor, a security guard, a plumber, a waitress, a student. No highly trained members of STARS here. So it's essential that they work together to overcome the horrors that await and leverage each other's unique skills. You see, each character has different strengths and weaknesses and abilities. David can combine random items to make different weapons. Cindy has a herb pouch and has the ability to heal her teammates. Jim can play dead and is less likely to be attacked by enemies. Alyssa can pick locks. And Yoko has a backpack. The game is divided up into 5 different scenarios that are, shall we say, loosely connected to each other. If you're looking for a cohesive beginning to end narrative, you really won't find that here. And the scenarios tick a whole lot of checkboxes for what one would expect to see in a Resident Evil game. You got the streets of Raccoon City, an underground Umbrella laboratory, complete with a train platform lifted straight out of Resident Evil 2, a hospital. What is you doing, dude? And the final scenario, which takes place at Raccoon University, but is clearly inspired by the original mansion, even complete with a lab and everything. It's awesome. And I have to admit, each scenario had far more meat on its bones than I was expecting. The last scenario alone took me over 2 hours. My total playtime here was actually more than I expected. My first run through of each of these scenarios was over 7 hours in total. Probably closer to 8 hours considering I died at the very end of the below freezing point scenario and had to restart the entire thing from the beginning. Because yes, saving works entirely different in this game. I just lost an hour of my life because I'm going to have to replay this whole thing. There are save points, but if you save, it kicks you back to the menu. Loading that save deletes it, and that's it. It's honestly more like a suspend point. Your progress only truly gets saved after clearing a scenario, which, might sound kind of hard. And that's because it is. This is definitely on the more difficult side of the Resident Evil games I've played, especially if you're going through it for the first time and don't know what to do. Zombies actually respawn in this game and will keep on coming, so you gotta be quick. You can't drag your feet. You also have an infection meter that's constantly ticking. Reach 100% and you die. Game over. Gotta restart the entire scenario from scratch. Okay. Kevin's dead. And on top of that, inventory management in this game is a goddamn nightmare. You only get 4 inventory slots. Want to carry a gun with some ammo? That's half your inventory right there. Yoko and her goddamn backpack ain't looking so bad anymore, is she? So what you gotta do is leverage your companions. And usually you'll have one that follows you around, and another one that just screws off and disappears until the end of the scenario. So my strategy was often to use this extra character as a pack mule. But you gotta be careful, because they will use all of the ammo and all of the healing items if you let them. Oh, she used a green herb. Oh my god, I gotta take this. The AI in this game, it's not good. Oh god. What are you doing, David? Why are you in the water, dude? In the final scenario, I was playing as Cindy, who can heal her companions, but they gotta be standing still, and sure enough, by the time I opened up my inventory, opened Cindy's specialty herb pouch, and attempted to heal one of the AI, dudes were long gone, or simply trying to give one of them a handgun to use proved to be a challenge. You'll quickly learn, if you're playing this game single player with the AI, the only one you could really count on is yourself. Someone's got a goddamn head on the shoulders, and it ain't the doctor. So the game is a little tough. With that being said, I only died and had to restart one time during my initial playthrough. Granted, I was barely scraping by, just barely clearing some of these scenarios, but maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the sign of a well-designed survival horror game. Do we want to pull this switch? For all the complaints I have about it, truth be told, I had an excellent time, and yeah, I was barely getting by in my initial playthroughs, but this game actually has a ton of content and really is made to be played through multiple times, using different characters and going for the highest score on each scenario. You see, after clearing a scenario, you're not only just given a score, but you can also see how many of the events you triggered, and there's a lot of different ways for things to unfold. And what's even more awesome is certain characters will trigger character-specific events during certain scenarios. Playing as Yoko in Below Freezing Point, for instance, it turned out she worked at Nest before, the underground lab where the scenario takes place. Her fingerprints are already on file, so you can skip a door lock sequence, and it has unique dialogue with another character there. There's a lot of different examples of this kind of stuff in the game. It's great. The scenarios do feel genuinely different from another as well. The hospital level in particular, the game goes full Mr. X mode, and you have to deal with an unkillable leech zombie chasing you through the entire scenario. It's crazy.
Oh my god, he on X Games mode.
Overall, I really liked this game. I've talked about so far some things that I liked, some things that I didn't like that much, but I need to address the one thing in this game that affected me more than anything else, and that's the loading times. And now look, I'm playing on actual hardware using an admittedly 20-year-old machine, but dude, these load times nearly killed me. I thought maybe there was something wrong with my machine, but I did check some other playthroughs on YouTube and such, and yeah, the load times are brutal, especially considering how often you're going through doors. Sometimes you'll go through a door, sit through a long loading screen just to realize, oh, I've already been here, I went the wrong way, turn around, go back out. Next thing you know, you've lost like a minute of your life. It's insane. This to me was the single roughest part of my entire experience, and man, it makes me realize how amazing it would be for a port of the Outbreak games where they fix the goddamn load times. Instead of the multiplayer Resident Evil games we've been getting, why they don't just bring back Outbreak? Dudes, it is a head scratcher. On the fear factor scale, this game is a 7.5. The difficulty, the intensity, some creepy environments, terrifying and quite varied enemies. Seriously, enemy-wise, there's a bit of everything. That damn leech monster. Yeah, this game is not for the faint of heart. Did I even mention this thing yet? God damn. There's a freaking plant vagina in this game. I'm not even kidding. Overall, this game is a 7. Again, it breaks my heart I never got to play it the way it was intended, because I think that it would change my score dramatically. But even then, despite all my gripes, I had a really good time with Outbreak. The AI and the loading screens are what really hurt it for me, but goddamn, everything else was so damn good. Now taking it over to the series' totally arbitrary rating system, Resident Evil Outbreak is going to slide in right in the middle at number 7. I know, putting it right below Resident Evil 3 Remake, which, as of right now, the community largely dislikes. But before you grab your torches and your pitchforks, keep in mind, this list is totally arbitrary, like every other list on the internet.
Okay.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Survival Horror Guide. As always, please let me know what you thought about it. Hit the like button, it really does help me out a lot. And let me know what other games you'd like to see on this series in the future. Thanks for watching this one, guys. Peace.